huge for a lot of different reasons. And although that they're a little bit later in the process, you're exactly right, Justin. But it's about, how do you manage that process and how much work do you do before you get to that process? And we do quite a bit of work. We do a lot of work by the time we get to the All Star circuit, we pretty much know all the guys and we've probably already seen them all. And we kind of already know the questions that we want answered when we see these players at those games. So, I think all the players that were, the Shrine Bowl guys, they participated, they performed well enough to put them in further consideration, especially when, you want to see how a guy, okay, William and Mary, he dominated his level of competition. Well, what is he like playing another position at the East-West game? So those things bode well. Guy that played right tackle and played it well, but let's see how he plays at guard at some better competition and did a good job. We talked about Broderick and him being at West Kentucky and seeing it done versus in Auburn or whoever it was, and then you just kind of see what he is at some higher competition and see how he performs. So that we have a good process before the All Star circuit. We have a good process after it, but it does make a difference.
Make a lot of shuffles and trades. We kept everybody on their toes, but
Yeah.
obviously one of the big ones was, trading away Swift and getting that pick in return and moving. Just kind of talk about that decision as well, and moving up with that pick and just take us through the process of that one.
Yeah, I always say, and I think I told you guys around the time when we did the Hawkinson trade, is it's my job to keep laser focus on the present, but probably even more importantly, keep laser focus on the future. And that's what went into a lot of the decisions with, having to make the trade with DeAndre Swift to Philly. He was his last year of his contract, and if I go back to last year, I felt really good about us being able to bring back Jamal Williams. I felt confident as the season ended, and I felt good with our conversations with his camp, and it didn't happen. So you have to just be prepared for all those things. We don't draft scared. We don't kind of play scared. The thing with Jameer Gibbs is, that's the guy that we loved, so, but again, having to keep that laser focus for the future, all those things come a part of it, but also we want to do the right thing for the player. And so that's kind of how we do it. And so I think at the end of the day, him being able to go back to his hometown on a really, really good team that was just in the Super Bowl. So I think it was a win-win for all parties involved.
One more on that. You acquired a 2025 draft pick. We saw, all the moves that you can make with extra draft capital here the last couple of years, really. How important is that in adding some future capital, just especially given the fact that, as things stand right now, right, you won't have some of these bonus picks, early on in the draft. So add more talent, move around with some of those teams.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And I said it the other night. DeAndre Swift's a dynamic, electric football player. So that was important and part of the trade is that you got to get if you're going to depart ways with a player of that caliber, of that magnitude, and when he's out there, what he can do. You get what we could say fair compensation. So me and Howie, I got a lot of respect for Howie. And we just kind of talked about it over some few days, and we were just able to get it done.
Just with Jameson in particular, what is the concern level there, maybe from a maturity standpoint, and then from a football standpoint, with adding Antoine, vertical threat? You've kind of been adding vertical threats here and there throughout your tenure here. How important was maybe he at least patchworking that through the suspension, the field stretching ability?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, at the receiver position, you really just can never really have enough of them. But it's really more so in specifically with Jameson. Look, he made a mistake. He made a mistake. He takes accountability of it. He knows it. Yes, he is young, and he understands the mistake that he made, and we've had transparent, open conversations about it. But we have confidence that he's going to take the right approach. He's going to have the right response in terms of what he needs to do feel really good in terms of just having him through the remainder of the offseason program. We'll get him in training camp, and then we'll just have a good plan for when he has to depart and when he has to return. But just in terms of just, I don't think that Green can replace Jameson or any of that. But but we are happy to get Green in the fold, and he does add a vertical stretching element.
With adding Hooker, does that, the fact that he's coming off of an injury, is that almost a silver lining in a certain way that you probably won't have to deal with any quarterback controversy issues, I wouldn't think, anytime? And are you out of the market for a veteran backup quarterback too?
Yeah, that's a good question. I never, in the whole adding Hooker, it wasn't really I never really thought about a possible quarterback controversy or anything like that. Hooker's a rookie, drafted in the 3rd round. We didn't draft him, 6 overall when we were there or anything like that. He's got to get healthy. He's got to develop. We like his developmental traits, and I've been very transparent this whole time in terms of me taking accountability of, me not being able to stockpile that quarterback room as much as I would like in the past. And we finally got in a position at a roster where we were able to add a guy that had some good developmental traits. And just like I said, the other day, I think he's in a good situation where he can learn, he can develop, he can get healthy, he can see how Jared and Nate operates, and there's really no pressure on him. So we're just excited about him, and we'll just see how far it goes.
Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I mean, you're mindful of it. You don't ignore it, but we look at the positive part of that, and the quarterback position. It entails maturity, and I think that's a positive thing that you're getting when you're dealing with a quarterback. Is that him being 25, he's a mature young man, and he showed us that throughout this process. So it wasn't, you're aware of it and you understand it, but it really wasn't a deterrent in our decision.
Past couple of drafts, you finish your 3rd draft. Every year we're seeing these broadcasts, and you get a look inside the war room, and you see all the other teams celebrating. But you tend to just jump off the screen with your celebration. Just what is it about this process that gets you amped up and excited every single year?
I just love it. I just love it. And Corey, I actually I told myself and I told the others in the room I was going to be more disciplined, but I guess I just can't state it or emphasize it enough that we draft players that we love. And when you're able to acquire them and you get them, sometimes you just really can't control your emotion, and it's just genuine, it's authentic. And, when you find that guy that you love and that's a fit for what we're about and what our culture is and we want our football team to look like, you really can't control your emotions. So most of the time the object in front of me is a table, and so that's who gets the beating all the time. But my son is 4 years old, and he told me this morning, he said, Daddy, I saw you on TV. And I said, what was Daddy doing? He said, you were beating the table and you gave a high five and you hugged somebody and you were wearing glasses. And so I said, good job.
Apologize to Dan there. It looks like you gave Dan a pretty good elbow. I mean, he took to the back of the room. Dan's a big guy. I mean,
well, my first, my first, I don't want to say egregious offense, but with Panay, Rod Wood kind of took the brunt of that one. And I don't think I gave Dan much, but I probably gave him more than I thought I was able to. But I still don't want to be in a cage match with him. Oh yeah. Hey, I guess it's the new simplified mind. Came across the simplified line, but came across my desk the other day, and man, like I told y'all, this is my brother, this is my guy, and I said, man, this would be pretty cool on day 3 to wrap it up, man. But yeah, I love this sweatshirt. It's awesome. I don't think that they put me on that kind of pedestal to make the kind of merch line, but it's all good.
I did have one follow-up on Jameson.
I'll get you.
From Justin's question. Do you have, beyond the gambling stuff, what concerns, if any, do you have about his decision-making or maturity? I mean, minor things, but, we see some of the tweets, some of the things that he likes on social media, about players that maybe aren't on this team or whatever.
Yeah.
So what counsel do you provide?
Yeah, you just have talks with them. I would say, everything who JMO is as a person, we are extremely thorough in our research about the human being before we acquire these players. We know who JMO is, and we have a good system for him, and for all of our players. Player development is number one for all our players. We said that year one that was our goal and focus. So I think each player is different. JMO is young, and he's going to continue to mature, and he's going to continue to grow. And so yeah, I mean, some mistakes will be made, but we communicate with JMO, and we treat him like our other players. We hold him to accountability, and we're always clear and transparent with him and like all of our players, and we just go forward from there. So, but no real concerns, going forward. He made a mistake. He takes accountability for it, and I know that he'll learn from it.
After the way you finished the year,
Yeah.
the free agency, the talent you got in free agency, the talent you just got, guys who want, you're talking about winning. What is the expectation going into this year? What do you think is possible?
I said during the combine, Dave, you might ask a question to me about kind of what the goal is. It might not have been you, but what's the goal of the offseason? And I just said, look, we don't want to take a step back, and we don't want to stay stagnant. And we appreciate and we are extremely proud of the success that we had last year, but we didn't make the playoffs. We didn't make the playoffs, and that's not good enough. So we got to get to the point as a football team where we can put ourselves in a position where we can get in the postseason and hopefully make some noise.
Do you think you have the talent to do that?
I do, yes.
You mentioned looking to the future with some of the players, but it looked like you drafted some kind of plug-and-play players that will have an immediate impact. Is that sort of what the whole win now concept is that you're talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't always line up that way, but it does. I think you take Jahmyr Gibbs. He's right now. He's day one. It doesn't now. Again, you take into account there are rookies. They're all rookies, but we expect him to make an immediate impact. Jack Campbell, we expect him to make an immediate impact, and I know, Just, you asked about the schools that they come from. When you get a player or players from Alabama and in Iowa and those well-respected programs, and obviously it's a huge credit to Coach Ferentz and Coach Saban, but you get some high-floor players, and especially when you're acquiring them as high as we did, we expect immediate impact. We don't have a crystal ball, but I would expect that we can get some instant impact. You go into even a Sam Laporta, a guy that's I'd say more along the terms of a gritty weapon. I do think that Sam would be able to make a early impact. And you get into a Brian Branch. Now look, we made a lot of moves in the secondary and the back end during free agency, and where we are as a roster, you get to a point where you're going to take a guy in the second round that might not be immediate impact, but I will say this, he might be, and if he's not making immediate impact on defense, then he's going to make an immediate impact on special teams. But, again, it goes back to not just laser focus on the present, but also the future.
Brad, I was struck by something you said early about Jahmyr, about keeping your offense, humming the way it was kind of last season. We get focused on the defense. You brought it up, in your year-end press conference of improving the defense was a big goal of yours. But how much is the balance of neglecting a strength versus strengthening a weakness?
Yeah, those are some reminders that I put down for myself heading into this offseason in terms of all three phases of the ball. And yeah, we were, highly productive on offense last year, and then we ranked where we ranked on defense at the end of the year. I do think that we got a lot better, in the second half of the season on defense, but it is what it is. We just needed to get better. So, but, you got to be mindful of, okay, well, let's just ignore the offense and just kind of just put all the eggs on defense. No, you got to keep it balanced. You got to make sure that your offense is staying explosive. You know, you want to have a top 10 defense. You know, usually when you have a top 10 defense, you're going to have a chance. And, you know, you want to kind of keep your special teams. Special teams is a high emphasis for us on our football team. And we want to have special teams as a weapon for us. And so just all three phases of the ball, you just can't ignore any of it. I mean, you just want to keep all of them at a high level. So hopefully we made enough improvements on defense. Hope we can keep our offense explosive, and then hope we can continue to have our special teams unit as a weapon.
Special teams too.
Yeah, I mean that would be the goal. You know, we'll see how much he can impact. You know, again, he's a rookie. He's still got upside. He's got development. We'll just see how far it goes. But in the meantime, with all these rookies, you know, they're going to have to prove themselves in special teams. So hopefully that's the case. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.